God.
Think that because they are this way or that, they are better than others. Do I ask a single question here? The rich.
Good morning, guys. Super don't feel cannot sleep with the bucks it, so here I am. But I don't want to get out of my bed. Okay. How's everybody today? People creeping in. Scrolling.
Welcome to Awakening You channel. If you appreciate what we do, please support us. Thank you. I'm Sananda. Today, I could take the theme for this video, in respect of what some are celebrating today. But I don't understand that things need to become commemorative days to be remembered. Respect for any brother, regardless of color, race, beauty, size, must be total. It doesn't need to be remembered in a single day, must always be remembered. Why so much discrimination? Why so much disaffection with what doesn't please them? What is the parameter for each of you to think you are better than the other? Based on what? I say, based on beliefs, dogmas, habits, customs, social positions, which make them think that, because they are this way or that, they are better than others. Do I ask a single question here? The rich, the beautiful, the wonderful, when they die, turn to dust. The poor, the ugly, the one who is despised by society, when he dies, turns to dust. So what's the difference? Why does there have to be a difference? Some societies in the world saw fit to diminish, enslave, mistreat, and violate those that did not resemble the great, the powerful, as if the tone of the skin, the color of the eyes, the type of hair, made them better before God the Father or Mother. Father or Mother God gave them clothes, a physical outfit, so that you could live incarnate. Some clothes are products of their souls. Like this. Each type of soul took on a type of clothing. Some bigger, some smaller, facial features, skin color, hair, all of this comes from the races from which you were formed, and everyone in the universe before God the Father or Mother is equal. There is no worse race, no better race, no more beautiful race, no uglier race. The issue of beauty was something incorporated into their standards, precisely for submission, violation of rights, demeanment of that being, just because it was not beautiful, according to the parameters that someone created. And sadly this continues to this day. This has been going on for a long time, and with each passing day, it seems that everything becomes more absurd, it seems like everything becomes more critical, deeper. All of you, regardless of race, hair, eye color, where you live, body type, blood type, are children of Father or Mother God. Everyone has his spark. He didn't look down on anyone. He did not put a more beautiful spark in one, and a less beautiful one in another. Everyone has their spark so they can live. So why do you have to be so rude to each other? Why such evil? Why do they think they are superior? This has also been going on for a long time. It comes from the great emperors, those who always thought they could dominate the world, and those who encouraged the third dimension in its worst feelings, made a point of always increasing, more and more, these petty feelings, these rotten feelings. Social segregation is a major problem across the planet, as the name suggests. It separates people, puts each one on one side, as if it were an eternal battle. I'm on this side, you're on that side. Don't you dare come over to my side, because you would be contaminating the ground.
Don't do it.
So there is segregation across the planet. For what purpose? The clearest thing you've ever seen: separation, suffering, violence, rape, mistreatment. So we can say that handsome, strong men are strong, and everyone else is submissive to them: women, children, the elderly, black people, homosexuals. Everyone is submissive, because the handsome guy is the biggest predator on the planet. Because that's what he is. Because if he was the handsome one, but implemented love, community, peace, harmony, I would applaud him. But no, he is exactly the opposite. He is the greatest predator on the planet, because he feels he has the right to step on, kill, rape anyone who stands in front of him, and he sees fit to do so. You will still know a lot. You have no idea the disgust and filth that still exists in your world. Many of you who you think are just the handsome ones, very soon you will be disgusted when you know the truth, because that's exactly how they act. Behind the cameras they act like any predator. Feudal beauty is less, because it is a black heart of evil and lovelessness. So why does there need to be a day? Why do there need to be laws? Why do there need to be differences? Aren't they all the same? Because there needs to be something that makes the will of those minorities count, a little. Why? To show the world that they are minorities. This is not how minorities will have a voice. It is not with laws, it is not with attitudes, with threats, marches, that you will have a voice. The human heart needs to change. Hearts need to change. Laws won't help. I can't deny that the laws helped a little, but everything remains the same. Nobody respects those who are different. Many act beautiful and obedient before the laws, but behind the scenes, they act exactly the opposite, because they are totally not vulnerable to the laws. So what needs to change in the world is love. It is the love in the hearts. It's love for your brother, no matter who he is. It doesn't matter if he has one less eye, if he has 3 ears. It doesn't matter. He is a human being. And so I ask a question today, here and now. How will you receive your brothers from heaven? As if you treat your own brother that way. If your own equals, because you are equal before God the Father or Mother, if equals themselves do not treat each other with love. So how will you accept the galactics here? Many say, no, I will have them. I will accept them. It will be. Do you actually treat a brother differently, the way you say you will treat a galactic one? Ask this question. Do you treat any sibling the same? Does it matter what he is like? Or are you treating the galactics well, just so you can have some advantage? So, ask this question. Look inside yourself and ask, how do I treat the different brothers I have? I accept it 100% without any reservations, whatever it is, whoever it is. I just see a soul, or I see a body, I see an appearance. Let's stop hypocrisy, my brothers, because many raise flags, take to the streets, to appear in the media. Behind it he is as prejudiced as the others. Pure lie. Be truthful. The one who admits, I have difficulty accepting is preferable. I applaud this one. because this one is true. And I hope he changes. Over time, he will feel that everything he was taught was wrong. I prefer this, rather than those who go to the front, shout against all prejudice, but who in their private lives, act like a predator. Inside the house, he beats his wife and children, because he thinks they are smaller, inferior. He treats everyone he meets on the street badly, but to the media he is the activist. So be careful with the labels. Be careful with the many people you see fighting, talking, because deep down they are nothing like that. Everything is a big hypocrisy. I don't want to celebrate today. There is no point in having a day to celebrate this. The feeling has to be year-round, all the time, not just on a single day. This is very beautiful for those who do it, those who create these days. For what purpose? Be remembered for creating the day. But did you actually do anything to improve this situation? Of course. So my brothers, beware of hypocrisy. Be careful with what you are preaching out there that you are this, you are that, but deep down you are just putting on a mask. So be real, and I leave you today with this question. Do you hug any brothers today? Anyone do you hug? But be truthful. Ask yourself this question. Anyone. You can't say, no, but if so. No, it's anyone. Do you hug? Do you receive it in a hug? I leave you with this question, and I'm sure that the vast majority, if they are honest, will be surprised by their own answer. I'm just going to leave one message, in addition to what I said about that day. Our meeting is coming. In some places around the world, people are being banned from coming and going. So what am I going to say to these people? No exception will be made for anyone, only for people who have this problem. So, I'm not even going to say who they are here, so that there is no misinterpretation, but those who are coordinating know who they are. So these people will be allowed to stay at home. Continue with what needs to be done. Just for these people, there will be no opening for anyone else. We know exactly where it is, so there's no point in being clever. You will receive instructions regarding the meeting next week. For now I will say nothing. By the end of next week, you will know how it goes. Sananda. And I'm here with an open heart. Ask for my help if you need to learn how to not leave anyone aside.
This is actually a really exciting thing to run into today. We've actually come across a large swath of sargassum, which is a Type 7 U-boat. So this thing was really going to be a game changer as far as the Germans were concerned.
What other secrets could these U-boats potentially be hiding? Greeting, dear ones, I am Merlia. I join you with such joy this day. The portal is remaining open, and that is a really big thing from our side of the veil. We applaud you for holding this open, although we know this was difficult for many of you. Yet, you stretched out and opened in many different ways. We know that many of you cannot see the portal is open or understand how you held it open, but you will. The reality is that there's much help coming now. Basically, you've given permission for that help to enter your game, and it will arrive in many different ways. The very first step is to assist the planet, which is in a spiral right at the moment. The Earth's circulation system was spinning like a top, very tightly at one point. Now she's whirling and wobbling all over the place, which is creating massive weather changes. This is the redistribution of water and the wildfires that have become commonplace on the planet. All of these things are related to the jet stream. If the jet stream begins to break up, everything will start changing very rapidly. There's quite a bit of movement, but it's not only with the jet stream. It is also the Gulf Stream, which flows in the Pacific Ocean, and if it breaks down, then water will rise very quickly. Fear not, you are on a good path. The Earth herself has decided to make certain changes, and these will become evident to you as you go forward. The reality is that she has the capabilities of supporting all 8 billion souls at this moment, but that is not yet happening. Sometimes you are actually using so many more resources than she can produce, and you even calculated this to determine which countries use most of the energy. The reality is you've changed a lot, and she is also getting help from some of the originators of the game on planet Earth. There is good news, your entire game moved here. You brought all of your energies to Earth and started incarnating on this incredible planet. You've had 10,000 years of an undisturbed energy field to grow, evolve, and do all the things that you wanted to. The Holocene was 10,000 years of steady temperatures that varied less than 1 degree in either direction. But you skyrocketed from the very beginning of the Industrial Revolution, which changed everything. And yet, with the Earth adjusting and shifting, it is entirely possible that she can still host the game of humanity on planet Earth. She is doing everything in her power to reset her energy, and now she also has help. That's why we had 2 days of a focused energy on planet Earth to open up our hearts and try to connect with her, a living sentient breathing. Earth has decided to evolve, and she's trying to do it very quickly to catch up to the weight of the planet, the weight of humanity. Anything you can do to ease your weight on the planet, to open your heart and connect with her openly, makes a difference. Even simply enjoying the beauty of nature or opening your heart to become a vortex master. Take charge and guard these beautiful vortices that are opening up in so many different places. This is good news, dear ones, and a beautiful opportunity to see this next level of humanity flourishing on this planet. So, hold that vision. Yes, we know you're seeing all the problems right now. You're seeing the storms, wildfires, flooding, and all the ways that nature is overwhelming humanity. Although that is happening, this can slow down, and there are actually several things that can happen at this point. Keep an eye on the jet stream and the Gulf Stream, for as long as they are still in motion, there is great hope. It's incredibly important that the streams continue moving and circulating the energy of Earth to the North and South poles. If that slows down, the planet will start to move into a mini ice age rather quickly. Even though it's changing a lot of your weather patterns, bringing cold to places that should be hot and wet to places that should be dry, these changes are now starting to be harnessed in a positive way. So, dear ones, there are good things that are taking place right now. Your part is about celebrating Mother Earth and connecting with her in whatever way you can. Maybe it's taking a walk in the woods to pick up trash or planting a tree in your backyard. Do whatever you can do to honor her. Little green men, some have considered inhabiting Mars. Even though that would work for some, it's not truly the future of humanity, because with your current technology it is simply too far away. But you were actually on Mars before Earth. In fact, that's where you first began the journey of what you now call humanity. There are many exoplanets being discovered right now, and your search is filled with new ones. When you find these exoplanets, you will also eventually find life, and it will be quite different than what you are expecting. There are so many life-supporting planets and, of course, many variations of beings you are not familiar with. We define it as many of the same things that you already have on Earth, which you don't actually refer to as life. Many of you are sitting, standing, or being supported by concrete at this very moment. You think of it as an inanimate object. However, the stones and cement that make it possibly came from the Earth and are still very much a part of her. Those stones inside the concrete still carry the heart of the sentient being you call Mother Earth. It may surprise you to hear that the Earth loves being reshaped into humanity's reality. She loves that you have used her branches for shelter and your sacred spaces, for in this way she integrates more fully with you. Now that you know that there are all those stones in the concrete slab you are standing on, what would it be like to talk to them? What could they tell you? Observer talks to them all of the time, the same way he can talk to the microbiome in your intestinal tract. They are a form of life that you are just beginning to understand, and they inhabit many places throughout the universe. You also have other places that affect evolution in different ways. For example, planets closer to their suns have significant amounts of gravity because of their size. So, those different factors provide a slightly different experience. The same is true with your energetics. Multidimensionality, there are beings who can move multidimensionally. You've seen them as your space brothers in many different ways. The open portal has now welcomed them, especially the 8 original races that helped form planet Earth. 6 of these are the parental races of humanity, and they're dealing directly with the planet at this point. You're still waiting for them to make official contact. It's as if you're waiting for them to hold a live press conference announcing their arrival and intentions, while they're standing next to their spaceships that just landed. Well, that's probably not going to happen. It would take way too much energy to do that. Besides, there is so much fear on planet Earth right now. With this portal you have held open the heart of planet Earth. That's why we ask you, how much love can you hold? In holding that love, you've opened up all the opportunities for these beings to start assisting the planet with her adjustments. At first, you'll see that Earth is experiencing fewer and less intense difficulties. You'll notice that some of the places that have been extremely hot are no longer quite as hot as they once were. Although you'll see the overall temperature of planet Earth continue to rise, if it slows down, that would be a very good sign. The idea is to keep the pendulum from swinging so violently between extremes. Claim your power, work with your heart to connect with who you truly are, then claim that power with planet Earth. That can have a significant effect on planet Earth and on all of humanity. These are wonderful times to be here, and your place on this planet has been carefully reserved for a very long time. Welcome home, dear ones. You are the highest of angels here to make this transition, and we're speaking to many of them right now. And with that, I'll leave you for the time being. The Keeper of Time will tell you more about the open portal and some of its properties. Enjoy the journey, dear ones. We watch as the feminine continues to rise on this planet. It's rising slowly, which is actually a good thing, for that is how it moves throughout all of humanity very cleanly. Welcome it, bring it in. Know that the feminine carries tremendous strength for everything that you're doing. It's with the greatest of honor that we ask you to treat each other with respect. Nurture one another at every opportunity and play well together as you create this beautiful new game. Espavo, dear ones. I am Merlia, the feminine form of Merlin. Come up and see me sometime.
Hello, friends of the truth. In your mind's eye, however you perceive, envision that you are viewing the earth from a great light ship. And together we, the angelic forces, and the multitude of universal light beings who represent our Father, Mother, God, are bringing forth the energetic vibrational patterns of the wondrous divine schematic in preparation for humanity's inhabitation of the earth. During the intricate, complex stages of preparation, sentient crystals were implanted deep within the earth in strategic places around the planet. A portion of each huge crystal rose from the earth's surface as a sentinel, which radiated energy and information out into the cosmos, as well as function as a receiver of divine light, wisdom, and power from our Father, Mother, God. Over the many ions of time, as Earth changes took place whereby mountain ranges rose into the skies, land masses sank beneath the waters, and continents shifted and changed shape, Most of those great crystals were shattered and buried deep within the earth and the waters. However, many remained intact deep within the waters in great caverns, and many more lie close to the surface of the land, hidden only by a thin covering of earth or vegetation, waiting for you to discover them and bring forth their powerful gifts and ancient memories. They are the Earth's seed atom record keepers, and you hold the key, which will give you access to the wisdom and the power of manifestation that lie dormant within them. Each one of you bears within the essence of your soul, your DNA, and your personal God self such wondrous gifts, such magical energy, and a vast memory bank of universal information and history. All of these stories that are now being told and the ancient memories that are being accessed, don't you realize that you were there? Perhaps it was not always specifically you in physical form, but at times it was a close member of your soul family. You do not have to personally experience everything that has happened during this great journey throughout the universe and on Earth to be a part of it or to have it in your memory bank, for you have a lifeline, a soul memory connection with your immediate soul family, which creates a link whereby they will gain the data and wisdom from your experiences, and their experiences are seeded into your memory storehouse as well. Many of you are in a phase of transition whereby you are feeling disconnected and alone as you strive to adjust to the next level of cosmic vibrational patterns. Humanity is gradually emerging from the restrictive illusion of the lower astral planes as the expansive. Accelerated frequencies of the higher fourth dimension permeate the earth and all its inhabitants at one level or another. Know that your column of godlight is widening and becoming stronger so that more and more divine elixir of life can pour down into and through you as it saturates your body and radiates down into the soul essence of the earth. This rarefied energy is critical for your host planet as this great being struggles to return to balance and harmony within, as well as to lessen the intensity of the cataclysms on its surface. The higher frequency vibrational patterns are especially important in the process of purifying and returning the auric field, which surrounds your planet, to its original blueprint of perfection. As you purify your 4 lower bodily systems so that you may consistently increase the amount of adamantine particles of light that you can magnetize to you and radiate from you. It is a duty and a divine gift to be able to assist your beloved planet to evolve as well. As the Supreme Creator increases the flow of the elixir of life throughout the omniverse, it is affecting all creation. You cannot hide from it. You cannot deny it. Your lifeline to your source is growing stronger and more compelling all the time. The magnetization factor is growing stronger, and you are magnetizing to you in stronger and stronger measures that which you have claimed as your reality. If you believe that you must live in poverty and chaos, those thought forms will be reinforced and magnified in your life. If you have accepted the truth that you are entitled to a life of beauty, joy, and prosperity, that reality will unfold for you if you follow through and take the proper steps as outlined in our past messages. The return to harmony and balance begins within each of you. Unity consciousness can begin with you, here and now, in this moment. First, it is vitally important that you acknowledge and bring forth into your consciousness all of those unbalanced fragments that you have created during your many lifetime experiences those things that control you, those things that have created an emotional and mental prison around you in your auric field. Then you must become aware of these fragments and how they affect your reality. And through your conscious intent, you must create a desire to change and to fill those fragments with transformative love, light, energy. We are always ready and willing to assist you in your positive endeavors. But you must ask and give us permission so that we can reinforce your resolve, so that we may give you the necessary knowledge, along with the swiftest and best way to accomplish your transformation with ease and grace. In the past, you have tried many times to stifle or gain power over your addictions, your negative habits and thought patterns. You have resisted them, hated them, and constantly thought about them, thereby reinforcing their control over your emotions, your mind, and your quality of life. Remember, we have said many times, for it is a universal truth. Wherever and whatever you focus your attention on, you give energy to and reinforce, whether positive or negative. You must free the fragments you have created by loving them and acknowledging that they have served you well, and by sending forth an impassioned thought that now it is time for them to be reunited. It is time for them to once more be a part of you within your solar power center of the heart, to be filled with light, and to become an empowered facet of your God consciousness. Know that everything, at some level, is seeking the light, seeking balance and harmony, seeking to return to that which it was in the beginning. Each phase of new awareness or expanded consciousness has its special miracles and benefits which are to be savored and enjoyed. Each time you release some old self-limiting, painful thought form, habit, or discordant energies within, you are transformed, and you remove a small or large part of your disguise, which allows you to integrate another facet of your wondrous God self. In doing so, you are gradually creating a new empowered you. A new reality opens to you whereby you have access to many new concepts, as well as new talents, and your sensitivity to the exquisite nuances of spirit miraculously unfolds around you. If you could truly see the grid system, the web of life, or the connection of all things, you would have a better understanding of the concept of oneness. It is not just the earth that has an intricate grid system. You have streams of light that radiate forth from you and to you, one to another, back and forth amongst every person on earth. Some are stronger, some are weaker, but you are still intrinsically connected with everyone and everything on your planet, and even within this sub-universal expression. This may be mind-boggling and hard for you to imagine, but it is true. When we say you are all one, what does this really mean, and how does this happen? It is because there are those streams of light that penetrate and filter through everyone, around and through all of the earth. Yes, most of these streams of light are very weak, but more and more of these streams of light are growing stronger and are setting up a vibration of recognition. There is an echo from within that says, yes, I remember you. Yes, I know who you are, and I know we have been together before. I don't know where, but I feel and recognize your vibrations and your energy signature. You touch my soul and make my heartstrings sing. Your loving essence assures me that I am no longer alone. Welcome into my heart. I ask you to share my journey and to allow me to be a part of your journey as well. You are learning so much, so quickly. It is often so mind expanding, that you do not know what to believe, and you think you cannot take in or integrate any more new information. But we tell you this is only the beginning. You are becoming spiritual human adults, whereas in the past you have been functioning as human children in a restrictive third, fourth dimension reality, feeling as though you were disconnected from God and controlled by the whims of fate and nature. As self-masters and spiritual adults, you are learning that you are citizens of the universe, you are star seeds, light warriors, and the vanguard of the new age. You have soared throughout this universe and other universes as well. You have heard that for a very long time there was a membrane of light which created a quarantine around the Earth, the solar system, and even your galaxy. This restriction has now been dissolved so that you may receive galactic, universal, and omniversal information. We now tell you that there was also a filter placed around this universe. The universe, in which we all are playing an integral part, is one of the most recent universes to be created from the essence of the Supreme Creator, and therefore is a universe that is situated at the farthest edge of creation. We too have been limited in our knowledge of the workings of the omniverse, as well as the amount of higher frequency, vibrational energy that we have had access to. You see, the first universes that were created were the most powerful and the closest to perfection, for they surrounded the great central sun of the Supreme Creator, and they contained the pure essence of creation. As more and more universes, galaxies, and star systems were created, ever expanding and pushing creation further and further out into the great void and further away from the Supreme Creator. Each refraction into density meant each new creation had less of the perfection of the all that is. You must realize that we are all much stepped down energetic fragments, but we are still an integral facet of the magnificence of the Supreme Creator. And if we were sent forth with the command to create in the Creator's name, for it was the Creator's desire to experience more of itself, why would the Creator tell us what we were to create? We were given a blessed divine gift as co-creators, and so were each of you. You are a co-creator, God in your own right, and that is not sacrilegious. It is a universal truth. You must understand. That is why you are here on earth. That is who you are. Do not let anyone tell you any different. Remember, you are also responsible for your own creations through the laws of cause and effect. You must experience that which you create. Please understand that this universe was created with dramatically stepped down and diluted primal life force substance. Some are calling this universe a fallen omniverse, but we do not choose to call it that. This is a universe which was created specifically so that we could experience duality and polarity. The spectrum of light and shadow was designed with the still point of creator light at its center, and the pendulum of duality was to swing only so far into the positive, negative, masculine, feminine, the light shadow, the yin-yang energy. You must understand that some of the co-creator gods created less than perfection, as they too learned to use their creator-given rights. Over the aeons of time, the pendulum has swung further and further into the shadowland of duality, but it has always been balanced with the same amount of higher frequency, divine light substance. The duality polarity of the earth is now in the process of returning to center into its proper designed spectrum of light and shadow. There have always been magnificent emissaries from higher realms scattered throughout this universe, and particularly in this sub-universe, your galaxy, and on the Earth. For this is where the culmination of this divine experiment in creation is being played out in its final stages. As we have told you before, the Supreme Creator is now taking an active role in the creative process of all the omniverse, and the pure, rarefied energy from ITS Hardcore is now streaming forth and affecting every facet of itself, from the greatest to the most minuscule. Creation does not contract, it is ever expanding. Never forget that each of you have an integral part to play in that expansion. You are at a grand crossroads, beloved ones, as you move through the process of clearing and cleansing the multiple facets of yourself. You are leaving behind the issues that create all the pain, suffering, and distress. Step back for a moment and view these past months as an observer. Are you beginning to get the picture of what the grand plan and ascension are all about? Being aware and in control are important facets of mastery. If you have diligently worked with the lessons we have given you, you should be well on your way to reclaiming the many gifts you brought to Earth so many aeons ago. Each of you is the center of your own universe. You, as a co-creator, send out energy and intent which create thought patterns of a certain frequency. These frequency vibrations go forth from you as rays of energy in an infinity sun, creating waveforms which are a reflection of your conscious thoughts, intentions, and actions. As you learn to stay heart-centered and soul-focused, thereby always radiating unconditional love and balanced, harmonious vibrational patterns, your world and reality are gradually changing for the better, for you are functioning as an empowered master of co-creation, a true divine emissary of our Father, Mother, God, and the Supreme Creator. During these times of uncertainty and great change, remember, my beloved warriors of light, there is nothing to fear, and so very much to be gained. Feel the warmth of our sacred breath as it brushes your cheek. Sense the aura of love in which we surround you. We are near. Reach out and touch us. We will respond. You are loved most profoundly. I am Archangel Michael.
Mercury and Venus, two hostile worlds that suffered very different fates. One very much alive and seething with treacherous forces of nature. The other, a planetary carcass, gouged by millions of high-velocity impacts. Both demonstrate the true horrors of planets gone wrong. Mercury and Venus, the inner planets. Along with Earth and Mars, Mercury and Venus make up our inner solar system. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, these planets farthest from the Sun, make up the gaseous outer worlds of the solar system. Over 4 billion years, the inner planets bound enough interstellar debris to become rock solid.
Why do we study planets? Why do we study astronomy at all? We someday need to go beyond planet Earth if we expect to survive as a species for a very long time. And we need to know what's out there and what the nature of the universe is. We're studying worlds where things are exotic, but the basic processes of physics and chemistry at work are really the same that we see here on Earth.
Millions of miles separate us from our rocky cousins. But a tour around Venus and Mercury reveals a common DNA.
We can go to Mercury and Venus and really look at these as places, as worlds with their own histories, and then contextualize our own planet's history.
Venus is the sixth largest planet in the solar system. At its closest, it is 26 million miles away from Earth. A year on Venus lasts 225 Earth days. And if you weighed 150 pounds on Earth, you'd weigh 136 on Venus. Venus, when the ancient Romans looked up, they were captivated by its commanding presence. They named the planet after their serene goddess of love and beauty.
It's such a beautiful presence in the sky. It seems obvious the connection there.
Venus has long been considered our sister planet because of its closeness in composition, gravity, density, and size.
Venus and Earth are almost twins in a lot of ways. They're almost the same size. Venus is slightly smaller than Earth. So if Earth was a regulation basketball, Venus is a soccer ball, slightly smaller. And Venus is the closest planet to Earth. So for a long time, it was thought of literally as a twin planet.
For ages, scientists thought this twin, like Earth, was a planet covered with deep oceans, lush rainforests, and had a climate that would give credibility to the notion that intelligent life could exist there.
Before the space age, people thought it might be very Earth-like on Venus. But the paradox is when we actually got to Venus and started exploring it, the conditions were so different.
It turned out Venus was less of an exotic sister to Earth and more of an evil twin.
So here you have two very similar planets in their sort of bulk properties, but they evolved to such different states. And that creates an interesting problem in understanding planetary evolution, a sort of controlled experiment. Take these two similar planets and let them go for 4 billion years, and then why do they end up so different?
First, some of the basic differences. Venus has been hit hard with meteors. One so strong that some scientists think it may have reversed the planet's rotation.
Venus has a very slow rotation, and it has what we call a retrograde rotation. So it spins backwards compared to the direction of spin of all the other planets.
Because of this retrograde rotation, the sun rises in the west and sets in the east. And the Venusian days are long ones. The amount of time from one sunrise to the next is about 8 Earth months. But the orbital pattern and long days are what make Venus so intolerable. In part, it's the wicked climate. With a surface temperature of 900 degrees Fahrenheit, Venus is the hottest planet in the solar system. Travelers there would have their trip cut short in no time.
It would take a matter of seconds. Maybe 1 second before they were gone, roasted to death.
If you're an astronaut sitting on Venus without a spacesuit, then your skin's going to crisp up, and you're going to cook just like a turkey in an oven, except much faster even.
The unforgiving heat wave is created by a process called the greenhouse effect, the identical process that keeps Earth's climate in check and teeming with life. But a close look at Venus tells us how this common trait can be a cycle of life and a cycle of death. Today, our own temperature is on the rise, and scientists found the possible cause behind it up on Venus.
Global warming is a result of greenhouse gases that are growing and growing and growing, and therefore we're getting hotter and hotter. When we look at this, we say, aha, here it is actually happening.
In the 1990s, after the Magellan spacecraft was launched, planetary watchdogs began turning to Venus to surmise just how bad it could get here on Earth.
Space exploration has told us a lot about the Earth and the environment it's in. And in fact, the greenhouse effect that everybody's talking about with global warming was actually discovered on Venus.
What they found out about Venus shed new light on how fragile Earth's greenhouse effect really is.
Venus didn't always used to be this hot. We think that early in its history, it was more Earth-like on the surface, and it lost its oceans due to what we call a runaway greenhouse effect. So Venus is an example that certainly global change can happen on a planet in sort of a worst-case scenario. We don't have to turn Earth into Venus before we're in trouble. We just have to move a little bit in that direction. And we are moving in that direction. But the real value of studying Venus, it allows us to test our models.
Through computerized general circulation models, or GCMs, scientists were able to calculate temperature increases on Earth based on the amount of greenhouse gases on Venus. So just how does Venus's greenhouse effect make the planet so hot? This is Biosphere 2. Located along the foothills of Arizona's Santa Catalina Mountains, it was built by a group of researchers to explore the idea of colonizing other planets. It is the largest greenhouse on Earth.
Biosphere is a perfect example of a greenhouse because it's a big building with glass panes that let the sun in, and the air is really hot in here.
The solar rays that penetrate the glass panes cause the temperature inside to rise.
The air heats up, but then the air cannot escape, cannot move vertically into the atmosphere because of the walls.
The windows trap the heat, warm the building, and provide the plants and trees with a livable climate. On Venus, greenhouse gases don't exactly trap the sun's heat, but they greatly slow the rate at which it can escape.
The greenhouse effect on any planet is the situation where the surface temperature becomes hotter because of gases in the atmosphere that trap the heat while letting in the sunlight.
These same greenhouse gases that would prove to be fatal to us on Venus are essential to life on Earth.
Without the greenhouse effect, the average temperature would be far below freezing, the oceans would be totally or almost totally frozen, and it's not even clear if life would exist on the Earth.
We talked about how hot it was, but why is it so hot? The answer has to do with the atmospheric composition. It's almost all carbon dioxide there.
Carbon dioxide, or CO2, makes up 95% of the Venusian atmosphere, and that high volume of gas traps more heat.
That's going to give you a strong greenhouse effect, and that's going to make it really hot. And that's why it's so hot on Venus. It's an extreme example of global warming.
On Venus, volcanoes are the natural spring source for CO2 and other gases. It's a process atmospheric chemist Jeff Sutton studies on Earth at Hawaii's Kilauea volcano. Deep below the surface, atomic compounds ignite during volcanic activity to form CO2. The gas is born from the pressure created by the heat of molten rock, or magma.
It rises towards the surface and reaches the summit magma storage complex. The pressure is decreased on the magma, and the effect of that is to allow gases that are trapped under a very high pressure to be released and bubble out.
The Venusian surface would likely have cracks in the lava, similar to these vents, where gases escape into the airstream.
Somewhere between 8,000 and 30,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide boil out of the magma chamber each day. And it amounts to something on the order of 3.5 to 5 million tons per year.
And that's just one volcano here on Earth. Venus has more active volcanoes, and that means more heat-bouncing gases.
So all the CO2 just builds up in the atmosphere on Venus, which just makes it hotter and hotter.
The 900-degree heat isn't the only trait that makes Earth's twin seem a menace. 30 miles above the scorching ground of Venus, there's havoc occurring on the planet that makes 900 degrees Fahrenheit feel like a cold front. Electrical mayhem, where split-second jolts can reach 50,000 degrees. Each spark of light contains 100 million volts of electricity. Lightning occurs on both Earth and Venus when electrical charges store up enough energy until they release a spark. Niels Oppenheim teaches planetary physics to students at Boston University. And researchers like him get in on the action at Boston's Museum of Science. In their caged lighting exhibit, 30-foot-high domes motor up to simulate how lightning is generated on Venus. And then, it's showtime.
So look at this, generating so many millions of volts on these domes that voltage has to escape, and it's actually ripping molecules in the air apart.
The air in the domes, like within the Venusian clouds, stirs up the electrical distribution of tiny atomic waves.
So the ripped molecules make that light as they reassemble themselves, and that's what a lightning bolt is.
Cosmic particles from exploding stars way out in the galaxy trigger lightning. When these hit the atmosphere, they provide that spark.
These are particles that come from way out in the universe. In the atmosphere, it causes a shower of charged particles. And on Venus, you probably have real lightning to extreme extent, that contain enormous amounts of energy and go for miles and miles.
On average, lightning hits the Earth more than 3.1 billion times a year. The number of times lightning hits the ground on Venus? 0. The atmospheric pressure on Venus is 90 times greater than on Earth. Because the weight of the atmosphere created by gases is heavier, this prevents Venusian lightning from hitting the hard ground. Instead, it is restrained to the clouds.
There's just too much resistance in that very thick air for a lightning bolt to get through. It's much easier for lightning to discharge from cloud to cloud.
And besides appearance, there's little else that's Earth-like about Venusian clouds. In fact, the main ingredient that creates them is toxic enough to burn through human flesh. From Earth, you might be able to see Venus twinkle in the morning and evening skies like a star.
Definitely not a wallflower. It's so bright in our sky, not just because it's the closest planet to us, but because it's the most reflective planet. Because it turns out Venus is completely covered in these bright reflective lights.
80% of the sun's light bounces off the clouds that blanket the planet. But even in the clouds, Venus, our so-called twin planet, manages to show an evil nature.
And we know that the clouds of Venus are made out of sulfuric acid, basically like battery acid. And that sulfuric acid is made by sulfur dioxide coming out of volcanoes on the surface.
Like its greenhouse cousin, carbon dioxide, or CO2, gas pressure pushes sulfur dioxide to the surface through volcanic vents. It's the same gas chemist Jeff Sutton monitors carefully at Hawaii's Kilauea volcano.
The gases, the sulfur dioxide in particular, is the noxious gas, and we wear gas masks to protect our lungs and our airway because sulfur dioxide combines with moisture in your nose and throat and forms sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid is nasty stuff. You don't want to splash battery acid on you. You know, careful not to do that. It's basically the same stuff. So it would not be good to suddenly stick your hand into the Venus clouds.
So, if a traveler to Venus could survive the acidic clouds, the lightning bolts, the toxic air, and the heat, just how would the Venusian surface look? Volcanologist Jeff Burns with the United States Geological Survey, or USGS, circles the globe to understand what drives volcanic activity on the inner planets. When Burns imagines the surface of Venus, he considers the dark, eerie wasteland of Kilauea's lava fields on the big island of Hawaii.
It's very instructive to be able to come here and study this volcano to compare it to volcanism as occurred on the surface of Venus. We can actually come out here to the field and study things. We can actually take samples and look at them in detail.
Geologists expect the amount of volcanoes on Venus far outnumbers the 1,500 or so on Earth.
Some estimates range from 100,000 to over 1 million volcanic features on Venus.
With that many volcanoes, lava rock makes up 70% of the Venusian surface, just like it makes up much of Kilauea's terrain. The ground becomes solid when the lava cools into hard rock.
Having a rock on Earth is our best analog for trying to understand rocks on the other planets. Saltic rocks are the most similar to the Venusian plains.
Basalt is the most common type of lava rock found on Venus and throughout the inner solar system. The minerals freeze into glass and small crystals, a total transformation from what lava looks like when it streams out of a volcano.
When lava is actively flowing across the surface, it's incandescent. It typically looks red. Now, quickly it'll form a silvery sheen over the top of it, and then over the period of a few weeks will turn black, such as lava we see around here.
At 5 miles high, Mont Mars is the largest volcano on Venus. And it's left some tremendous lava channels in its wake, just like Kilauea did.
Now, as you see, the structure, we have levees here on the sides, and then internal structures as well. This is similar, perhaps, to how large channels called canali formed on the surface of Venus. However, they formed at a much larger scale.
Large enough to create seemingly endless miles of canali across the Venusian landscape. Consistent in both width and depth, the canali are much longer on Venus than on Hawaii because of environmental conditions on the planet. The dense atmosphere and hot temperature slows the magma from cooling into solid rock. And with little wind and no rain to further cool the magma, lava can cut through the surface for months after an eruption before it hardens.
On Venus, if you did see layer, you would expect to see layer after layer of volcanic rock that would all be relatively black and basaltic in composition. You would probably see little bits of color due to potentially oxidized iron, which would look red. Typically, basaltic lava flows are glassy enough that, in fact, you would actually cut your hand. They can be extremely sharp. They tend to quench and form glass.
And then there are the skies. That heavy Venusian cloud cover diffuses most of the direct sunlight.
It would be a lot darker on the surface of Venus during the day than it would be here on Earth. Also, because the light is scattered very efficiently, you tend to lose shadows. So everything is fairly consistent across the surface. And then additionally, because of the composition of the atmosphere, everything would tend to have more of an orangish tinge to it.
Besides canyons, jagged mountain ranges scrape the Venusian skies. The planet's highest peak is on Maxwell Mons.
Maxwell is about 35,000 feet high, which puts it at a healthy distance above Mount Everest or any mountain on Earth. Everest is something like 28,000 feet high. So it's definitely larger than anything on Earth.
Our sister planet seems to have outdone one of our 7 natural wonders. But how would the Venusian terrain measure up against another geologic feature, our canyons? The Grand Canyon, a great chasm eroded over 250 million years by the Colorado River.
When the Colorado Plateau was uplifted millions of years ago, it gave the water more energy to cut back through the canyon and wear away the rocks.
The vast canyons on Venus may have also been formed by erosion, but not by a river.
Volcanic systems can erode canyons by having fluid flow. If it's very fluid, not very viscous, materials can erode similar to water. And the Grand Canyon is only part of the Colorado River system, but even looking at the Colorado River system as a whole is not nearly as long as the longest channels on Venus.
Had the ancient Romans known about the volcanoes, acidic clouds, lightning bolts, toxic air, and that scorching heat, perhaps they may have named our evil twin planet after something other than their goddess of beauty and love.
There's irony there because, of course, the Greeks and Romans didn't know anything about the conditions on Venus. And then here we are a couple thousand years later, and we're actually exploring this place, and, well, it's not quite so nice according to our taste.
But how do the dangers found on our sister planet compare to the cosmic violence on Mercury? "48 million miles away from Earth, Mercury's dust-covered hills and empty plains stretch as far as the naked eye can see."
It's a colorless body. It does not have really any colors like you see on Mars or the Earth or even Venus for that matter.
Dr. Robert Strong with the University of Arizona's Lunar and Planetary Lab has been a chief authority on planetary geology for more than 35 years.
Mercury is the innermost planet, and it's quite different than anything else in the solar system.
At 36 million miles, Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun. The planet has no known moons. Mercury has no atmosphere. And it's a naked eye planet, visible on Earth during the twilight hours. With a diameter 60% smaller than Earth, Mercury is the solar system's scrawniest planet. Much too small to generate the strong gravitational field needed to retain an atmosphere.
Gravity depends upon the mass of the object, on the mass. So the larger the mass, the more the gravity. So on Mercury, the gravity is less on there.
Since the planet's gravity is so weak, if you weighed 150 pounds on Earth, you'd only weigh 57 pounds on Mercury. Planet size matters when it comes to the internal heat needed to sustain geologic activity.
The internal convection currents that drive geology stop, and in general, it just freezes up, and there's no way to sustain that geological activity. And that happened to Mercury a long time ago, probably after less than 1 billion years of its life.
The days when the planet beat with a strong pulse that produced volcanic and tectonic Mercury quakes are long gone.
Is Mercury a dead planet? Depends on what you mean by dead. Is it eternally active now? Probably not. It's probably not active at all.
It is essentially a dead planet and has been dead for about 4 billion years.
For a near lifeless planet, Mercury still has some movement. Named by the ancient Romans after the swift-footed messenger god, Mercury orbits the Sun in 88 Earth days, the fastest of any planet. But when it comes to the time it takes Mercury to spin on its own axis, the planet holds the record for being the slowest. Length of time, around 180 Earth days, about half a year. The Sun's gravitational force creates a tidal friction within Mercury, which slows down its speed as it spins on its axis. This means a year on Mercury is shorter than a day on the planet. And that sluggish rotation gives Mercury a somewhat peculiar weather forecast. For 6 months, the side exposed to the Sun reaches 800 degrees Fahrenheit. On the other side, the temperature drops to 300 degrees below zero.
It has a long time to heat up on the side facing the Sun and a long time to cool down on the other side. And that's why it has these huge temperature extremes.
Despite its close proximity to the Sun, Mercury is a bit of a black sheep in the planetary family. Its skies always seem like starry nights.
The skies would be black. The reason we have blue skies on the Earth is because of our atmosphere. Nitrogen scatters light preferentially in the blue. So that's why the sky looks blue. Mercury doesn't have an atmosphere, so the sky would be black.
Legend holds that Mercury, the Roman god, invented the sport of boxing. This is one planet that's taken the lion's share in the ring. Mercury has had millions of meteors and asteroids explode on its surface because it doesn't have an atmosphere to protect it. Our atmosphere guards Earth from most impacts, like a force field. When a small object slams into it, usually at more than 10 times the speed of a bullet, the collision with air molecules vaporizes it into a gas.
The Earth is shielded from small impact objects by this wonderful thing called the atmosphere. And for small objects, weak objects, they will be completely destroyed by those forces long before they get to the geologic surface of the Earth.
Super
On
go.
Mercury, without that atmosphere, the asteroids and meteors smack down at full throttle. This makes Mercury the most heavily cratered planet in the solar system.
You cannot take a step on Mercury without encountering an impact crater.
Back in 1974, the Mariner 10 space probe mapped half the planet's surface